Most men are not failing, but that's exactly the problem, because failure, it creates pressure. Failure forces you to make a decision. Failure makes you move. But most men aren't failing. They're just slightly below where they should be. Their life is just comfortable enough for them to stay where they're at, but it's also just uncomfortable enough to barely feel it. And that space right there is where you lose a lot of years. And I'm going to show you exactly why and exactly how you can get out of that. Because here's what nobody tells you. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you don't want it bad enough. It's because your life is set up to keep you where you're at. Now stay with me. I'm going to describe your week back to you. You wake up, you go to work, and you give everything that you've got, and then you come home tired. Not broken, just enough tired that you don't feel like doing anything real, so you sit down for a minute. You tell yourself you're sitting down to just decompress, but somewhere in between sitting down and going to sleep, your whole night disappears. No progress, no building, no movement, just another day that's gone. And the dangerous part, it didn't feel like a failure. It just felt like another Tuesday. That's not a bad night. That's a pattern. And patterns, they don't stay patterns. They become your life. And here's why it's so hard to see this, why it's happening. Your brain, it doesn't track your life year over year. It's only judging right now. And right now, nothing hurts bad enough to force you to change. So your brain, it does something very subtle. It starts to lower your standards so that your current life is acceptable. Not great, just acceptable. And once something becomes acceptable, you stop fighting to change it. You stop chasing to become better. You start adjusting your life to become less. And the most dangerous part is, you don't even feel it happening. Now that's not weakness. And that's just what happens when a man becomes too comfortable with almost. You being just fine, repeated enough times, it doesn't stay fine. It becomes your entire life. Let me show you something that's going to be hard for you to unhear. Let's say you get home around 5:30. You sit down for a minute, grab your phone, and you say it's only going to be for 10 minutes. You look up, and now it's 6:20. You look up again, and now it's 7:30, and you haven't moved. That's just one night. That's just 2 hours. You do that 5 days a week, that's 40 hours a month. That's 480 hours a year. That's 12 full work weeks every year spent on things that don't move your life forward. And that's not just wasted time, that's a wasted year. And most men, they do this for decades before they feel it. You're not behind because your life is hard. You're behind because you're giving your best hours to things that don't build anything. Now here's where it gets real. You've already probably tried to fix this before. You've had moments of clarity. You told yourself, I'm done, I'm changing. You started strong. You woke up with intention. You moved with purpose. And then you had one hard day. You came home one day more drained than usual. And instead of pushing through, you negotiated. I'll start fresh tomorrow. And then tomorrow came and you negotiated again. You don't quit, you negotiate. And every negotiation, it cost you more than the previous night. Let me tell you what tomorrow actually is. Tomorrow is where good intentions, they go to die. And now you tell yourself tomorrow because it sounds responsible. It's not like you're quitting, it's like you're rescheduling. But let me actually tell you what's going on in your brain. Every time that you say tomorrow, your brain logs it, but not as a plan, but as a pattern. And once something becomes a pattern, your brain no longer questions it. It just executes. Now tomorrow becomes automatic and is no longer a decision. It becomes a reflex because you've said tomorrow a lot of times. And every time you say tomorrow, it becomes today. And when that today came, you said tomorrow again. Now that's not a motivation problem, and it's not a willpower problem. That's a pattern that's been running your life a lot longer than you realize. Tomorrow was never coming. It was always going to be today or never. So why does this keep happening? It's because you keep treating this like it's a motivation problem. Like if you wanted it bad enough, you would figure it out. But motivation, it isn't the problem. Structure is. Your life has been running on default decisions. You come home and the couch is the default. You sit down and your phone is the default. You're tired, I'll do it tomorrow is now your default. And default decisions, they create a default life. But the man you're trying to become, he doesn't run on default. He runs on structure that he built on purpose. Now that's the only difference between where you are and where you want to be. It's not that you can't change. It's that you haven't built a life yet that makes change easier than staying where you are. I want you to picture two versions of the same man. Same background, same job, same starting point. The first man, he comes home and he sits down. He just lets the evening happen to him. Now he's not lazy, but he's also not intentional. So 5 years go by. He's still in the same apartment, still at the same job. He's still having the same conversations in his head about what he's going to do. Someday never came because someday isn't a day of the week. Now the second man, he's the same tired, same long shifts, the same couch is calling his name. But he made one decision, 1 hour, same time every night. No negotiating and none of that I'll do it Monday. Just 1 hour. Now he's not perfect because some nights he only gets 40 minutes in. Some nights it's messy and it's unfocused. But he shows up. Yes, every night he shows up. And in 12 months, those two men, they don't even look like the same people anymore. Not because one got lucky or one had more time, but because one decided that his evenings belonged to his future, and the other, he kept giving them away. The gap between who you are and who you want to be, it's not in your talent, it's in your evenings. If this video is making sense for you right now, and you want more breakdowns like this, then subscribe to the channel. But not for motivation, for direction. Because this channel, it was built for men who are done drifting. So here's what you actually have to do. Now it's not theory and it's not inspiration, it's an actual system. For the next 7 days, when you get home, write down exactly what you did and when you did it. Not I chilled, not I relaxed. We need exact actions and exact times. From 5:30 to 6:30, you were on your phone. 6:30 to 7:45, you were watching TV. 7:45 to 9, you did nothing. You can't fix what you cannot see. Vague tracking, it creates a vague life. So pick 1 hour, same time every day. And do not do it when you feel like it. 1 hour with a defined purpose. And tomorrow, before it even starts, that hour has already been decided. Because the man that decides in advance is much harder to stop than the man that decides in that moment. Decisions, they remove friction. Because friction is what's stopping your whole life. In that hour, it's one task. That's it. Not a list, not 5 goals. One thing that moves your life forward. You don't check your phone, you don't switch tasks, you finish it, whether it's messy or not, whether it's perfect or not. Because finishing it, it builds your identity, and your identity is what changes your behavior for the long term. Imperfect actions that are taken consistently will always beat perfect intentions that are never taken. I want you to think about something before I close this out. In 5 years, if nothing changes, you won't feel that you failed dramatically. You'll just feel like you ran out of time, like somewhere along the way, you stopped being the main character in your own life. You'll start feeling like you just maintained your life. Now that feeling, it's not weakness. That's your awareness telling you something. And awareness, it only shows up to give you one thing, and that's a choice. Nobody's going to show up to your funeral and say that that guy was good at sitting on the couch. They're going to talk about what you built, what you sacrificed, who you became, and right now, you're deciding what that story sounds like. There's a version of you that wakes up years from now, and he's proud of what he's built. But there's also a version of you that wakes up and he wonders where it all went. And both of those men, they exist right now in the decisions that you make tonight when you're tired, when you don't feel like it, when nobody's watching. And I'm going to say something to you that nobody else will. You already know what you're supposed to do. You've known for a long time. You're not missing information. You're not missing motivation. You're not missing the right moment. You keep waiting for something that's on the outside to push you. And that push, it never comes from the outside. It was always supposed to come from you. The man that you're waiting to become, he's not waiting on motivation. He's not waiting for the right week. He's not waiting for everything to line up. He's waiting on a decision. And you already know that.